Hello, hi, yesterday. I was getting my 16 fixed up. Should make my window a bit smaller. There we go. Hello, hi everyone. Before we move on to Master Duel today, hello, it's Yugioh Stream Time. We're gonna start with a little bit of TCG content before we move to Master Duel. We have a lot to go over today. We have not one, but two ban lists. Both a TCG ban list, which does affect cyberse libromancer pretty dramatically, and a Master Duel ban list, which frankly does not impact the decks that I play that much. Well, it affects one that I kind of used to play a little bit, but I'm not like super into that deck anyway, so it's not a huge deal to me. But we do have a lot to cover today, so before we move over to Master Duel, so I'm fine, SJ. I'm just a little kind of sick. So let's start with this TCG ban list that dropped like a week ago. This was the week that I was taking off from Yu-Gi-Oh because I was only streaming for 2 days because of Christmas, and I just made it all rubbery streams, Omori rubbery streams during Christmas time because I had to take a obviously Christmas Eve stream off. So we're gonna start with the unlimits and work our way back because the part that matters, to, at least to me, is gonna be the the bans. So we're gonna start with the unlimits and work our way back. So the unlimits were kind of surprising, but at the same time were kind of whatever. Like, in Birdie's archery into free is kind of cool, but you could put launcher to free, and archery to free, and I don't really think that deck is gonna do anything in 2024. So I just think Infinity is just one of those decks that have been power crept, or it's also a deck that's really reliant on floodgates. And as we'll see, that's gonna be less good. So I don't know how I feel about Archfiend going to free. Maybe because of the what we'll talk about in the limits, they feel more comfortable giving 30 players free Archfiend again, but because of some of the hits in the limited section. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna do much. Free cast Shira Unicorn. Oh, cool. So, I guess the thinking is, if a Rise Heart is banned, like, we can start unhitting some of the cash hits. And I'm like, why? Fenrir and Unicorn are both played as splashes in other decks. And Unicorn, it's just such a toxic splash because of the ability to rip something out of your opponent's extra deck. I don't like having. I don't like how people were having to play 2 Zeus because Unicorn existed. Honestly, I just don't think like extra deck ripping cards out of people's extra deck is a thing that should exist in the game. Especially because it really punishes budget players who don't have the money to buy like 2 Zeuses or 2 Access codes. So I don't know about that one, Chief. Mind control to free. This is done because of another unhit they're doing on this ban list. And I guess, the thinking is, well, we unban change of heart, so we can we can bring all of these change control cards back. I mean, Trouble Tactics isn't free, and it can take control of something, so we can have free mind control again. Surely that won't be a problem. I guess maybe the game has advanced beyond mind control being cracked, but I don't know about that. Spellbook Adjustment, this card could go to 12, and it wouldn't matter. Spellbook is just not good. Believe me, I tried playing Spellbook of Judgment in my custom Banlist series I did a while back, and it was not good. I guess you could maybe set up the Jowgen lock and do something with that, but... but yeah, not good. Free Upstart Goblin. This is really interesting because this opens the possibility of playing 37 card decks again. But what modern deck would want to play a 37 card deck these days? I'm not sure. Maybe Sky Striker would like this? Because of another change that they're making this land list. I mean, they're giving them free mind control, so maybe you play 37 cards Sky Striker? Maybe that's good? Pot of Desires to free. They can't decide what they want this card to be at. Honestly, I think it's better for Desires to be at free, just so Grand Maju doesn't lack tools for banishing. But Master Duel seems to like to limit the pots because the OCG really hates draw cards and they just want to limit consistency as much as possible. They want to make the top decks inconsistent so they don't have to ban anything. And the problem, and the free Pot of Desires is a lot of a big consistency boost to a lot of decks that can utilize Desires. And it's obviously insane in Maju, but like, yeah, you have to stick to something. And I think having it at 2 for as long as they did was kind of stupid. This is really one of the cards that should either be at 3 or at 1. And you need to kind of pick one. And free Sprite Starter is fine. Like, we can start unhitting Sprite. Sprite's not... I mean, we banned Elf. There's nothing... You really shouldn't be scared of Sprite without Elf. But let the Runic for Hire Sprite players have their toys, I guess. On to the semis. This is interesting. I mean, semi-limiting Sleepy it just is good. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of a slap on the wrist because they're not limiting it like they did Delicious. But semi-ing Sleepy on top of Delicious already being limited in the TCG means, God, your cats are gonna be missing a lot with this. Like 2 Sleepy, 1 Delicious. Like, it's just gonna cause your My Friends to miss a lot more. It's gonna cause your Pearly to miss a lot more. It makes getting to Noir a little less consistent, and given how easy it is to set up that unaffected asshole, like, yeah, making it more inconsistent is good. Especially just because it makes me Amigo and Pearly itself more inconsistent. Now, granted, there's things you can do about that, like Like, there are ways that I don't think this kills Pearly necessarily. It just makes it more inconsistent, right? It just means your cats miss more. But the deck is still obviously cracked. I mean, it's been playable with one Delicious. Two Terrapop is funny when and we'll get to that when we get to the Master Duel ban list. I guess two Terratop is like they're afraid of just putting it to free, but the reason why Terratop was limited in the first place was because of Zodiac, right? And all Zoo shit is banned in the TCG, including Barrage, and Invoker's been banned forever. So like, let the Speedboy players have free Terratop. It's not gonna do anything in 2024, especially if Invoker's banned. Two Pankratops is interesting. I think they're testing the waters with unhitting Pankratops and giving us more copies of Pankratops. Because even though they unlimited Unicorn this list, this tells me they're thinking about hitting Fenrir. Because they're unhitting Pankratops, because that's what happened in Master Duel, is that they gave us free Pankratops, and then they semied Fenrir at launch, and now Fenrir's at 1, spoilers for the Master Duel list. So maybe if I'm guessing the thinking is they think Pank is more balanced than Fenrir is, which is definitely the case. So, because Fenrir's just a better Pankratops. So if they're unhitting Pankratops, they're probably thinking about doing something with Fenrir because Fenrir is splashed everywhere. But yeah, that's all there is for the semi-limits. Lots of limits on this list. Okay, so there's a lot on this list to absorb. Let's start with the easy stuff. Rescue Ace Airlifter, consistency. Just hitting the consistency of Rescue Ace, making it harder for them to get spell access is good. Because Airlifter is normally how they add emergency, which is how they get to, like, Preventer and Hydrant. Unchanged Hole Shivara is a very good limit because what makes playing against a new Unchained so frustrating is Shivara just deletes your interaction, basically. It's basically like Unchained's version of Misk, except not quite as powerful as Misk because it blocks like a single interaction rather than Misk just says, oh, you can't interact to any dinosaurs. Well, Shivara is kind of a similar kind of card, from what I've read. So, yeah, it going to 1's probably a good idea. And then they limited Gozen, Rivalry, and Tikbu. Yeah, that shit all needs to go. Like, no one likes playing against those. I would have liked to see D-Barrier here, to be honest. I would have liked to see Skill Drain banned. But it is what it is. Less floodgates is less floodgates. And then the last hits there was the Dryas and Healer. Just said that this doesn't actually kill Plan. Like you just slim down. You just slim down the plant engine, the Sun Avalon engine, and you load up on more Rickas and more Aroma cards, maybe, or more generic plants, plant extenders, rather than she said you still play the Lokais and the one Dryas and the one Healer, but you don't play Twin and you don't play more than one Sowing anymore. and you just load up on Rekkas and other plant extenders. Because, and she says, like, limit healer does, like, almost nothing. Like, the deck wasn't going to get killed. She said that the deck isn't actually going to die unless they ban Jasmine. So that's that. Now, there's a lot of unhits here. Some potentially scary unhits here. Redox, not gonna do anything. With Master Duel unbanning so many rulers, which we'll get to, the Dragon Rulers just don't really have a place in modern deck building right now. The only one that's banned in the TCG still right now is Tidal, and Tidal is the best one. So maybe they're a little worried that some graveyard shenanigans deck will do something with Tidal. Like, I don't know, Goaty or some shit. But I doubt it. Harp is back, which... it's going to be a little bit spooky with people tinkering with work extensions again. But I think as long as Mermaid remains behind bars, it's fine. Now, the thing about Ib is ridiculously powerful, but there's only like very specific decks that can really take advantage of Ib. One idea I was toying with for Ib was to play it in, you can play it in like Magic-y, because Magic-y runs normal monsters. And it might be an easy synchro to make in Magic-y for extension. So, like, any Magic-y players can maybe prove me wrong on this, but isn't Ib kind of an idea for Magic-y players? You could obviously play it in any, like, token deck or anything like that. Like, maybe you could do something with Ib in, like, an adventure engine deck, maybe? I don't know. And then the scariest unhit on this list. The one everybody reacted to, which was unbanned Snatch Steal. They did this once before in, like, Duelist Alliance format. And then they immediately banned it again on the next list. Will the same thing happen? It's hard to say. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, they unbanned Change of Heart. And Change of Heart saw basically no play outside of, like, fringe cases for going second out of the sideboard. Snatch Steal is better than Change because it's searchable with things like Armory. But we'll have to see. It is a little scary though. Now for the list, the parts that matter to me. Agito Kelbeck, Rip Bozo, no longer Milfy Feel Fine. Rip Bozo tier. Although, unfortunately, this also kind of Rip Bozo's Skull Servant a little bit, but Skull Servant just got a crazy-ass custom card that makes up for Agito and Kelbeck being gone. The Isolde ban, the Isolde ban is like... a lot of people joke and say this is Jeff Leonard's fault because of the Exodia FDK at the YCS, but let's be real, this is because of pack. This is because of pack topping with the Infernoble support. And really, Icehold is just one of those. It's just another one of those Link 2s that are just like, that were just broken on their face and were never banned. And now it's finally time for Icehold to go. Because, like Halka Firebrax, like all these other Link 2s, it was just, it was gonna just cause design problems in the future. But then we see the one right smack dab in the middle in there. They banned circular. They already killed the Mathmech, right? When they limited circular, all the prices on TCG Player for Mathmech engines sunk like a stone the second they limited circular. That's why I was able to get my deck for fairly cheap. Now, the thing is like, limiting circular didn't kill the deck, but let's just say that for reasons like cyberse, various cyberse decks that utilize circular, be it pure Mathmech or other variants like say cyberse libromancer, or things like Salad that splashed it, Ignister that splashed it. None of those were topping events. Like, let's look at the previous YCS results really fast. Let's go on a little field trip. YCS Bologna deck lists. Top 64 deck breakdown. Rescue Ace, Tier, Labyrinth, Unchained, Centurion, Fire King, Pearly. 21 other. Let's go to the Yugioh Pro Deck page. Okay, the winner was Joshua Schmidt, who was playing Bestial Runic. But then we had like a rescue, Diabellstar Rescue Ace, Branded Despia, Labyrinth, Infernoble, Tier, Labyrinth, Tier, Rescue Ace, mikanko, Rescue Ace, Pearly, Labyrinth, Fire King, Rika, Tier Elements, Rescue Ace, Labyrinth, Pearly, Rescue Ace, Centurion, Labyrinth, Centurion, Vanquish Soul, Pearly, Unchained, Fire Kings, Tier, Fire King, Tier, Rescue Ace, Labyrinth, Chimera, Centurion, Fire King, Rescue Ace, Dragon Link, Vanquish Soul, Rescue Ace, Pearly, Rescue Ace, Labyrinth, Kashira, Unchained, Labyrinth, Unchained, Chimera, mikanko, Marincess. Oh, damn! The only one deck with a cyberse Link engine is Marincess. And guess what card Marincess can't activate? Circular. Why? Because they lock themselves into waters. And all Mathmech cards are Larks and Lights. There's a couple of fires, but none of them are water, right? So, almost no cyberse Link decks in the entire top 64 of YCS Bologna. Mathmech wasn't doing anything. Even pure Mathmech, which people see as the most degenerate use of circular, is just to play Mathmech pure, and that, oh, I hate playing against pure Mathmech because if they go second and I don't have a good enough board, they kill me with access code. Or they go first and they set up an unbreakable Link board. because I can't break frickin' terrors. I'm like, every deck that was on circular, that was utilizing circular, were beatable. Like, most of those cyberse decks, the reason why they weren't in that top 64 is because they lose to Droll and Lockbird straight up. Like, they cannot do anything to Droll and Lockbird, right? And Droll is everywhere right now. Because it beats Pearly, it does pretty good against Unchained. It does pretty good against Rescue Ace. So, what was the point of banning Circular? Other than to appease Josh exactly. And to appease people who just were tired of, oh, I'm just tired of losing to activate Circular. Because this is the format that doesn't have Maxi. But the thing is, like cyberse link decks lose to more than just Maxi. They lose to Droll and Lockbird. They lose to Ash Blossom in certain instances. They lose to Nibiru really hard. Like, it's so beatable if you have decent on engine. It's so beatable. But apparently it's too good still, despite the fact it's not putting up any results. Like, if Mathmech was topping the way that it's been in Master Duel for a bit, like, maybe I could understand it, but just banning it just feels... It feels like it's just it's sweeping the feet out of every cyberse deck that needed to utilize it. Especially ones like Libromancer that don't have a lot of other options to replace it. Because... But it doesn't mean that we're giving up. Let me show you something. This is what I've been cooking. Okay, so what I had to do to make this even remotely possible is I had to cut superfactorial and laplacian, which sucks. But circular was the only real realistic way this deck was ever getting a superfactorial setup anyway, and it's just deck space we can free up. And what we've done is we're running 41 cards, and we're going 2-2 on subtraction addition, just because this is the only way to really consistently get the cyber switch now. I've tried other cyberse engines, but the problem is that all the other ones besides Mathmech have locks. Ignister locks you at Island. Island says that you cannot special monster for the same ritual. Also, you cannot special sub monsters except cyberse monsters. And guess what? Doombroker is a fiend. Salad didn't work particularly well either. Like the Code Talker and Firewall stuff doesn't work because Firewall Defensor has a lock, has a cyberse lock. So Mathmech is the only engine that allows you to do it, and without circular, it's a lot harder to get to Witch now. Like, it makes me brick so much more often now that I have to run 41 cards and go 2-2 on these to even stand a chance. But I think with this setup I have, I think I got something that works semi-consistently. I'm gonna do a couple test stands to show you what I mean and why losing circular was kind of a big deal, but maybe it's survivable. We'll have to see how it goes. Let's take a look. This does do it, but it's a hand that has to make devotee. Oops, I didn't mean to hit draw. Let me try again. I didn't mean to hit replay. I meant to hit reset deck. I didn't mean to hit draw. I meant to hit search deck. Alright. Similar hand. We'll go this. We gotta get fire here because we're doing a devotee line here. We're forced to do a devotee line here. So let's get fire. Activate. Reveal. Special effect. We have to get agent here because we need to do a devotee line. We'll go agent. Link off fire for the disciple. Agent effect, add back fire. We have to use our normal summon on fire. And this gets us to devotee. We are under devotee lock now. We'll go disciple, send devotee, get our tokens. Oh, forgot to do our draw for disciple. I think we're gonna send back the equation because we don't have access to Mathmech names in this hand. It's bottom of deck, right? Yeah. Alright, problem is we don't have a spell for whatchamacallit, but we have a way around that. We're gonna activate Origin Story. We're going to activate first appearance and summon Dew Broker now. Because we have to do it this way. Because we need to get Spell Engrave for Witch, right? So we're going to do this. And set another copy of first appearance in the Spell Trap zone. In the field zone. So we have to send this to grave. And this goes to the field. But we have to set it. And since we already activated it once, we can't activate it this turn. But we just needed to get a Spell Engrave. Send us a token to get us the Witch. We need to get rid of this token to get to a link one for us to trigger Witch. Which allows us to banish this. We get Sage and a Silent Ritual. We can go this and special summon back fire. We're under devotee, so what we can do here is we'll go Witch and Lingaribo for Wicked. We'll go Geek Boy, reveal Sage. Special Geek Boy. We'll banish Disciple for Wicked. To add a tuner to our hand, we'll go ahead and add I guess we'll add diameter because we can get diameter out with Sage. We'll go ritual, Sage, we'll go Sage effect. We'll banish Witch and Devotee for to say Worm. We'll go Disable effect, special diameter. We will not change levels because we're going to synchro. Or the this guy. And then we'll go Sage effect, re-add ritual to our hand. From this position, we'll go ahead and we will go get intervention. And then we'll go these two to the grave for IP. So this is interesting. Despite that rocky start because we had to do a DBT line, this isn't bad. I mean, we have some decent IP options. We have intervention, and we have the potentially the protection effect from Quantum Dragon, which is kind of interesting. So we could go like for IP options. We have a interaction with intervention, which would bounce this to hand, and we could special fire back and get a fire search for like fire burst probably. And then from there we can IP. We got a lot of IP options. We could go 4 token Dark Fluid. We could go the Singularity line. We've got the Saber Engrave for a Spell Trap Negate. And we've got... hell, we can even do White Woman if we want. But yeah, I still think the deck still technically works even with no circular. It just means we can't do a laplacian anymore, which really sucks. And it does make the deck more inconsistent. But even with a rocky hand like this, we can still get this far. Where we have to devotee. It just means... It feels like more from playing test hands that we just have to use... We just have to do Disciple devotee a lot more often than we used to. That's just what it feels like to me. We're forced into the devotee lock a lot more. Which blows, but... I mean, we get Heat Soul a little less often than we like, but is what it is. I mean, the DBT lock is still not that hard to reach because all you need is like Fire Agent and you got it. So even if you don't open any Mathmech, you can still get that far, which is fine. Pretty good actually. But anyway, let's move on to Master Duel. Enough